Hey, this is Michael Emery. Thanks for tuning into the Slow Baja. This podcast is powered by Tequila Fortaleza, handmade in small batches and hands down my favorite tequila. I always say, ask your doctor if Baja is right for you. Well, right now, folks, it's the open enrollment period for the Slow Baja Vintage Expedition for vehicles 1993 and older and motorcycles 1980 and older. And I'm not going to tell you any more about the motorcycles because the motorcycle side is already sold out. Teamed up with Adam Sheard at Speed Deluxe, and that side is closed. So if you're coming on four wheels. It's October 15th through the 20th, 2023. We're going to start out at a hotel. We're going to end at a hotel. We're going to have 4 nights of camping under the stars on private land. We've got a chef and a team that's going to prepare fabulous, fabulous food. We've got great dirt roads, good people, and great old trucks. If this sounds like the way you'd like to experience Slow Baja, well, you got to reach out. The information is at slowbaja.com. Under the new Adventures tab, you can click the Slow Baja Vintage Expedition at slowbaja.com/adventures. And if you're ready to pull the trigger and sign up, well, over there at the Slow Baja shop at slowbaja.com, you can click on the deposit ticket and pull the trigger. And I will see you in Baja in October at the Slow Baja Vintage Expedition. Next event I want to tell you about is the Slow Baja Rally. Now, this one doesn't have many rules. It's February 23rd through March 3rd, 2024, and it's for anything you've got on wheels. So if you've got a Sprinter van, if you've got a Vespa, you can do this event any way you want. It's really about going slow and saying hello, community, camaraderie. We're going to have a big party before we leave in San Diego. You're going to get to meet some travel buddies. And for those folks on the dirt, you're going to have some friends with you. And for those folks on the pavement, you're going to find some folks who want to travel with you and at your pace. And again, what we're doing here is being where we are, fewer miles, more smiles, getting into camp. We're going to have the pre-selected campsites, getting into camp during the daytime, putting up your tent, popping open a cold one, sharing with your neighbors. Maybe you're going to cook a little meal together. You're going to play a little free-form bocce ball on the beach or go for a swim. But it's really a much more relaxed pace than some of these other rallies that need to be the biggest and the baddest and cover the most miles. We're going to cover the best miles with the most smiles. I guarantee it. slowbaja.com/adventures for more information. It's the Slow Baja Rally, February 23rd through March 3rd, 2024. Hey, thanks for tuning into the Slow Baja today. My heaping dose of gratitude goes out to all those folks who have signed up for the Slow Baja Vintage Expedition. They've sent in their deposits. They're coming. They've gotten the hall pass from their spouse, or they're bringing their spouse and they're bringing their old truck and they're getting stuff done and ticked off the list. And I'm just stoked that folks are making the leap to come on this epic adventure. I drive an old truck in Baja all the time. I don't even think about it, but folks who have these cool old rigs, they barely drive them on dirt, and they certainly rarely drive them on dirt in Baja. So for the folks who have decided to step up and take the leap and come with, I'm really excited. We're going to have a great trip. We've got a great bunch of folks coming. I'm not going to tell you who's on the trip, but it's really special. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to today's guest. Adam Sheard runs Speed Deluxe in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and that's a motorcycle restoration shop for vintage bikes, and he is my partner in this endeavor. Adam's been running the Speed Deluxe Vintage Adventures for the last decade or so, and he runs off-road dirt bike, vintage bike trips all over the United States, and we teamed up for his first Baja offering. We've been talking about it for a long time. We've got it done. We got the course nailed. We dotted all the I's. We crossed all the T's. We've got all the campsites. We've got every inch of road, 2,200 plus miles into picking out, about 700 miles of prime Baja dirt, and it's really going to be special. So without further ado, Adam Sheard, Speed Deluxe, talking about our Slow Baja Speed Deluxe adventure. Adam Sheard, welcome, amigo. We've spent so much time together lately. We're like old pals.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. We've been through a few things together in the last week, and then a week together in July as well, so it's been great.
A week in July was the week we just had.
that shows you where I'm at. We're a week in May.
We had a week in May in my Land Cruiser, and we had a week. We just wrapped up a week in July, 1,100 miles, finalizing the scouting for the Slow Baja Vintage Expedition and the Speed Deluxe Baja Expedition, right?
Yeah, the Speed Deluxe Vintage Adventures Baja Expedition. That's a bit long-winded, but company name and expedition name, yeah. So
I think that fully explains it. Can you tell me what your company does?
Yeah, so well, Speed Deluxe itself is a vintage motorcycle shop, which we started just over 10 years ago, and I guess nearly 9 years ago, we decided to start doing some vintage motorcycle trips. So Speed Deluxe Vintage Adventures was a spin-off of the company, and so that's what we've been doing for the last nearly 10 years. I think we're in our 9th year this year. So yeah, pre-1980 motorcycles on 3 and 5 day rides.
And you've been doing that all over the United States. You're in Chattanooga. You're from England, obviously, if folks haven't figured that out from your accent. You're from England. You're living in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I stopped by and saw you on a cross-country drive when we started talking about putting together a Baja trip. And you're running these events in the South and in this. Well, you tell me, where are you running these trips?
Yeah, so we the first few years, of course, we started slow, just one event a year, and so we've been doing since I think the first 4 or 5 years. We basically did them in the Southeast. So Tennessee, of course, that's where we're from. We base a lot of our rides from there. Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, I think is the states we've been in the Southeast. And of course, Chattanooga is right on the border with Alabama and Georgia, and only an hour and a half away from North Carolina. So a lot of our trips in the East actually cover 2 to 3 states. And then 3 or 4 years ago, we started to move out into other states. So we've done Utah a couple of times, most recently this year, and Arizona, and then we're in Colorado next year. We've got a trip. We're trying to plan a trip for Oregon the year after that. Also thinking about Japan in 2025 as well. So we're slowly moving around the states, and want to try and cover all the states that have some good riding. So we're predominantly up until now we've really done kind of dual sport rides, what we call a dual sport ride. Most of our rides are around 75-ish% off-road. And then next year we're branching into doing some road rides as well, just a first initial foray into that in the North Carolina. So yeah, that's what we're up to and where we're going. So hopefully we can cover all the states that have got really good riding in the future. So
yeah, so we teamed up for the Baja Vintage coming up in October, and you've got such a robust following that you basically put it out to your known clients and your folks who've been with you on these rides before and sold out rapidly.
Yeah,
never really open to the public. So
no, it's never open to the public. I think with Baja, it's a little bit different to the US, just in terms of, even things like, if something does go wrong, which is very rare, but, emergency services and, it's just a different country, honestly. And we wanted to, for this first time into Baja.
Literally.
Literally. We wanted to make sure we had a really good solid crew. So what I did was just shot an email out to not even our previous riders, but a select group that we knew were a certain skill level, and their bikes were always a certain level of preparedness. So coming off that, I think 95% of the people responded within a day and were like, sign me up.
Yeah, so that's awesome. That really speaks, I think, volumes of the following that you've built and how people trust you in this endeavor to find the right routes and put them onto an awful lot of fun. And basically, you do all the legwork. I mean, we have done a lot of legwork. We've had a lot of calls. We've dog-eared our benchmark maps. We're looking at the digital stuff. We're looking at the paper stuff. We're driving now. We've driven, I don't know.
We've driven over 2,000 miles.
Easily over 2,000.
Yeah, to get lessons, to really get probably 700 miles of usable stuff. So
yeah. It's going to be pretty epic.
Yeah, it's, and this last week is, we got some great stuff in May, as it turns out, and but this last week has really cemented what's going to be a really fantastic trip.
So we met on the Nora Mexican 1000 in 2022, and you soloed a 1966 Triumph on that. And Nora just doesn't have people doing this crazy stuff. I mean, they have vintage guys, and they have vintage bikes, but vintage bikes are not like 1966 vintage. Nobody's really doing that.
No, I think the closest bike to me in age was 1986, so 20 years. And in dirt bike terms, 20 years is a lot. It really is a lot. But it was something that I'd wanted to do for quite a long time, and to me, a peninsula run on a vintage Triumph like they did back in '68 and around that period was just, to me, it seemed like a real bucket list thing to do, to be honest. Like, it was really up there in the top 5. And it was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was difficult, but it was a fantastic experience. And to finish it, and then I was the only one in my class, but I did win the class by essentially not being defeated by Baja, which is
a huge accolade, not to be defeated by Baja.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is. It's very easy to be defeated by the peninsula, for sure.
So that's where we met. We followed up, started some conversations last year, and we've gotten to this point where we've had a week-long trip in May in my old Land Cruiser, and then we just wrapped up this magnificent week. I'm still a little dazed, frankly. Like, did we just see all of that on this trip? But when you are scouting a trip in the States, how do you explain the difference in dirt here versus the difference in dirt there? I mean, you're all over the United States, Southwest, Southeast.
Yeah, it's it certainly in the US, especially in the east, east of the Mississippi. A lot of stuff we use is Forest Service tree roads and things like that, which are reasonably well groomed. There are areas which aren't, but generally speaking, they are, of a reasonable standard, let's say. And then you move west of the Mississippi, and things get a little bit different, for sure. BLM land, not everything is as well maintained as it is in the east. So that's one thing, and they are definitely more difficult rides. Our rides in the west are definitely more orientated to bikes that were designed by the manufacturer as enduro bikes. Not the scrambler type bikes that the Triumphs and the Honda CLs and things like that. It's totally doable on those bikes, but it's a lot easier on a fixed enduro bike. And then you get into Baja, and it kind of steps it up another level. One of the biggest things I didn't realise until I first came to Baja was how much mountain there was down the peninsula. So that's a huge factor. You've got to get across the mountains if you want to go, from coast to coast, that kind of thing. But
east to west.
East to west, yeah.
Right.
And then you've got the fact that this place has been raced for the last 50 years. And that a lot of these dirt roads that you see on the map are just, they're just whooped out. They're, unless you're in a trophy truck, they're super difficult, and then you've got stuff that, especially as we found out this week, they're really just kind of rock crawling roads that happen to last 10, 20, 30 miles. So it's much more difficult. Normally a route takes me around about a week in that area to figure out after, I've obviously done a lot of pre-planning and got a route planned out. But, Baja has taken us double the time. And honestly, we could spend even more time to keep refining it. So it's definitely, it's a challenging place in a lot of regards, but especially in route planning.
So why vintage?
I've been into vintage cars specifically since I was 15 or 16. I'm not entirely sure why, really, to be honest, but they've always held an attraction to me. And I've always been quite mechanically minded. And then when I started getting into bikes, I rode a modern bike initially, and I was kind of taking a break from projects and mechanical things and of that nature. And but eventually that bug bites again, and I think it's something about even the aesthetic design, the timeless design of some of these bikes and cars. It's just, there's something about them that stirs something inside me, and they're not easy either, which I think is part of the attraction for me. You don't get in and turn the key every time and it starts. That's what you hope, but it doesn't always happen. Things break down, things break, you fix them. And to me, to a lot of people, that's not ideal. It's not what they want. They want the car that looks different to everybody else's, but putting up with everything else is not quite really what they want. But for me, it's like that's the character of that bike. It really feels alive. Like I always say, let's talk about, for example, Triumphs versus BMWs. Vintage BMWs. BMW did such a good job of those bikes that even a 50s one is quite refined and can go on a highway at 70 miles an hour and do a great job. They're really smooth, and they're beautiful to look at. They ride great, they're reliable, they're smooth, everything fantastic. I don't particularly like them because they are too refined. Like I get on a Triumph, which Triumph is my one of my favorites. You get on a Triumph and that thing, you kick it over, and there's something about it, the vibration, everything else, it just feels alive. There's something about it. It's like it's actually alive in its unrefined nature.
It's raw.
Yeah, it's raw.
And
yeah,
raw.
It's
And BMW is refined.
Yeah, totally. And anybody that's ridden a vintage BMW, I'm sure would agree with me. And anybody that's ridden a vintage Triumph would totally agree with me as well. But yeah, I think it's just the unrefined nature of it. I get pleasure from it. Cars and bikes, it's something about, and just even, especially with like the Baja thing, I've got a Bonneville kind of fantasy as well. That it's kind of reliving the past. What I see as the heyday of motorsports or car design or motorcycle design. That to me has been lost over the years with technology and things like that. Everything now, I mean, nobody can say that this is not true, but everything now looks the same. Even bikes, cars, you can go and buy a sports bike. Well, you can barely tell the manufacturer other than the colour of them. Whereas back in the 50s and 60s, you knew straight away, that's a BSA, that's a Triumph, that's a Harley Davidson. I just love it. Like, it's just part of who I am now, I guess. There's no going back.
And what's your take on the people who are willing to subject themselves to the punishment of a vehicle from another era as their primary mode for a bucket list adventure? I mean, like that's saying something. Like, you could do these things a lot easier on a modern bike and be a lot comfier.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. There's on our trips, and I think the reason that we still do our trips is the people. The people we've met over the years, whether they've done one ride with us or 10 rides with us, the people are just fantastic. They've obviously got something a little bit wrong with them.
Yes,
I obviously include both of ourselves in that, yeah. I think. So, the it, and the kind of crazy thing is they're from all walks of life, all ages, male, female, age differences, political differences, backgrounds, everything, you name it, they're all from a different thing. And when we come together, we've got this one passion in common, and all that other stuff goes to the wayside. And it's really fantastic. It's just, like I say, the people, 99% of the people on our trips, even more than that, have just been fantastic people and some of them are now, lifelong friends. And not just with me and my wife Jamie, but with all the other people on the trip. We have guys that come back year after year, and it's hugging and backslapping and all that kind of stuff, and just real pleasure you can see how happy they are to see each other, and to go through another 5 days and 1,000 miles, because our 5-day rides are 1,000 miles, and we do a 3-day that's 500 or around about there. And they know that these guys, they might be on the bikes till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night sometimes. Breakdowns happen and all that kind of stuff. But, I've been out there with those guys every time it's been that late, and they just embrace it. It's amazing to see the attitude and camaraderie amongst these people. It's just amazing. It really is. And it's something, whatever it is inside them, they're just great people, and they love riding these bikes. And it is a challenge. I think that's the other thing. Like, people want to challenge themselves generally, or these guys do anyway, clearly. So they come for a challenge, and they do get it. We don't make it easy on them.
Maybe people enjoy communal suffering, whether it's the hot weather of this place or the cold weather of that place, or the rain or what have you, or your team loses all the time. Maybe communal suffering and getting through an experience that's difficult together forms a bond. I don't know.
I think it definitely, yeah, you're right. It's that's for sure true. And it definitely does form that bond between the guys and girls. And yeah, I think especially.
Well, I think character gets revealed in difficult circumstances.
No.
That's when it's easy and it's going well, and that doesn't really reveal any character. But when it gets difficult, when the going gets tough, as they say,
when the chips are down,
that's when the character gets revealed.
Yeah, and these guys, always say it like. The other thing is the people that come on our trips are of mixed mechanical background. Some people can't change their light bulb. Some people have rebuilt the entire bike, top to bottom, engine included, everything. Some guys are been riding 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, and some have been riding a year. Some of our trips, especially some of the shorter ones, there's people that haven't been really off road too frequently, to be honest. And everybody embraces them. If you've got a good attitude, everybody on our trips embraces you. If you're slow, if your bike breaks, if you're too fast, if you whatever, as long as you have a good attitude, everybody embraces you. And if you break down, somebody else's tool roll is out before yours and ready to fix it and get it going. It is a kind of community, like a micro community of people that want to challenge, have these bikes, and actually want to ride them. They don't just want to go to the local bike meet or the coffee shop or for a quick whip around town. Not there's anything wrong with that. I'm all for whatever people want to do with their bikes or cars, but these guys really want to challenge themselves and actually put these bikes to the
That's
test.
what they're built for.
That's what they're built for, exactly. Like Yamaha didn't make the XT500 to go to Starbucks. They made it to go on trails and create enjoyment, and that's exactly what these guys do on these bikes. They take them for what they were intended for in 1974 or whatever, and they use them. And some of these bikes come onto the trail fully restored, and they don't leave that way, that's for sure. You know, so good on those people for getting those bikes ready and really riding them.
Here at Slow Baja, we can't wait to drive our old Land Cruiser south of the border. And when we go, we'll be going with Baja Bound Insurance. Their website's fast and easy to use. Check them out at bajabound.com. That's bajabound.com, serving Mexico travelers since 1994. Big thanks to my new sponsor, Nomad Wheels. They stepped up and sponsored the Slow Baja Safari class at the Nora Mexican 1000, and I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but Slow Baja is running a set of 501 convoys in utility gray, and they look pretty damn sharp. They were a little shiny, I will admit that. They were a little shiny when I got them installed at Basil's garage just before the Nora Mexican 1000, but after, 3,800 miles of Baja dirt, they look perfect. They really do. Nomadwheels.com. That's right. Check them out. Reflecting a minimalist approach to off-road travel. Nomadwheels.com. Hey, we have spent a lot of time driving this beautiful country together. 1,000 miles or more in my old Land Cruiser, nearly 1,100 in the last week in this beautiful Raptor. I think we've put together a rather spectacular route. Can I ask you to put you on the spot for a couple of the highlights? I mean, the first day is just spectacular.
Yeah, without doubt. In fact, the entire trip really is spectacular. I think we've hit
it out of the park.
Yeah, we've certainly touched all the bases for sure. Of Northern Baja, I feel like anyway. There is other areas that we obviously couldn't cover, but even just coming out of San Felipe, Diablo Lake is obviously quite. If you've raced
iconic.
Down there, it's quite iconic.
Yeah.
Just blitzing across that thing is a lot of fun. Or going very slow across that thing,
which is what we'll be doing.
That's exactly what we'll be doing. And you've got the mountains in front of you. I can't remember the range name, but they're just right there. I think the highest point in Baja is there as well.
Yeah, we saw the observatory of San Pedro de Matir there, and don't quote me, folks. David Keir, I'm going to get this wrong. 10,000-ish feet, right?
That's something around there.
Yeah. So you're staring into these beautiful mountains as you're driving across the lake, and then take it away.
Yeah, and then, then we actually go up into that range, and across effectively make our way across the west coast.
Yeah, not to Mike's Sky Ranch, but right by it.
Yeah, right by it. And those roads are just fantastic, and up into like the pine forest up there, and through the valleys, through the mountains and stuff, going over to the west coast, and then we're dropping down towards.
We drop into Valle Trinidad for some fabulous tacos. So that's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. And then making our way to the west coast and down, and I mean, I don't know how many places you can drive down the beach.
San Quintin, yeah, we're heading down the coast into San Quintin. So we've left Terra Peninsular and San Quintin, or south of San Quintin, and we've had this fabulous trip out into the wilderness there. Beautiful coast. We're right there. It's protected lands. We've got Nathan from Legends Overlanding has made that fabulous connection for us for Terra Peninsular, and now we're heading
south
on the road towards Catavina.
Yeah, and we're heading up into the hills first of all, and on some magnificent trails with some amazing views, and then dropping back down into Santa Rosalita.
Yep.
And
Ensenada, Encinitas. Your old friend Hayden was mashing the names all the way up and down the peninsula.
There's a lot of Santas.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. And I can't remember them all quite yet.
Exactly, Santa Rosalita.
I'm getting there. And then on our way to Catavina, we were into the the cactus fields and the rock fields, which are just, I mean,
it's iconic Baja.
Yeah, when you think of Baja, that's kind
It's
of what you
iconic
think
Baja.
of.
I'm expecting, Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner to go ripping through there.
Well, we definitely saw some Roadrunners this week.
We did. We didn't see Wile E.
Hopefully
Coyotes.
we don't see Wiley, but the Roadrunners will hopefully be there, because that's really cool to see. And then we've just got a great camp spot, off the beaten track, in amongst the cacti and the rocks, and just be spectacular, really.
The funny thing is, before this trip, I did not know that you had this rock thing.
Yeah, nice. I'm a big fan of the rocks, and
was it from Nathan? Because I know he's like rock. He's rock. He's crazy. I mean, the dude is absolutely obsessed with rocks.
He's literally as rock crazy as you can get.
What was that bell rock that he just kept dropping to hear it? I mean, it's like a. It's a huge. It was like a 3 pound or 3 foot wide rock, and he just kept dropping it to hear it go ding.
Yeah, we were.
Ding,
I thought we were
ding.
moving that thing out of the way, but apparently we're just playing it. So, 106-degree heat. Maybe we should move it, or maybe we should play it. I don't know.
Yeah. So Catavina is so special, so incredibly special. The terrain, the cave paintings, the boulders, the cactus. We spent a lot of time in that area, and I think the trail that we ended up landing on is stunning, and the campsite is stunning.
Absolutely. We had a couple of camping options down there, and we spent an extra day just in that area just to try and get it right and kind of do the area justice in the time we had to spend there, and I think we did it. I think we nailed it.
Yeah, I agree. Then another dry lake, and back we took Punta Final the hard way, I would say.
Yeah, we thought we had what looked like from above,
from space,
from satellite view, it looked like a really great road over the mountains to Punta Final, and turned out to be more of a rock crawling expedition.
It turned out to be a dry river or creek. Turned out to be a dry creek full of boulders.
Yeah,
it looked gray and lovely from space.
Yeah, which a lot of them do, and the Raptor did amazingly. I had no preconceived ideas of how the Raptor would do in that kind of terrain, and it was actually fairly amazing. So fair play to Ford for that. But yeah, that was. And
I think honestly, I'm going to say that in the skilled hands of our driver guide, Nathan Stewart at Legends Overlanding. I mean, this guy threaded that thing through a pretty narrow space over these incredible obstacles. And I was a little bit of Marlon Perkins on this one. I said, I'll stay in the Jeep while Jim wrestles the Anaconda. You guys are out there throwing these huge boulders around. I'm nursing a hernia, and you guys are throwing these boulders around at 106 degrees. I'm just like, this could go really wrong.
Yeah.
And luckily, it wasn't the right road. We're not going to use it. We learned a lesson, but it went really right. We're not going to go into. We saved a Polish uncle who was showing his niece visiting from Poland the beauties of Baja, and got his Sequoia stuck up to the axles, and Nathan yanked that thing out with his kinetic recovery ropes. But that was another great treat. They bestowed a beautiful bottle of tequila on us and a couple of cold ones, and we were happy to get all of that and got on to San Felipe. And again, I think our route is pretty dang spectacular. So I'm going to recap. Starts in San Felipe in a hotel on the 15th, October 15th, for a driver's meeting. The event starts the morning of the 16th. We're heading west, and we're going to make a counterclockwise loop around the peninsula, west, south, east, north, back to San Felipe, and we'll have how many nights of that? 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, camping, catered, beautiful chef-prepared meals, fantastic dirt, great people, old rigs, 1993 and older, or something that looks like 93 if it's on four wheels, 1980 and older for bikes, but the bikes are already sold out, so you can't come on this trip, but you better book soon for next year.
Yep, 2024 is already on the website.
It's on the website.
Yep.
And we're going to wrap up back at a hotel in San Felipe so everybody can collect their trucks and tow rigs and anything that they may have left there before they head north. Where's the best place for folks to find out about you and what you're doing, Adam?
They can hit the website up, which is www.speeddeluxe.com, all one word. Or you can find us on Instagram, which is the actual vintage bike shop is speed_deluxe, and the vintage rides are under vintage 1000, which is vintage the word, 1 the number, and 1000 the word.
And that'll all be in the show notes. If you want to find out about bringing your vehicle, and I'd love to talk to you about that, let me know soon because those spots are booking up. But it's old trucks, 1993 and older, or something that looks like a 93. So your Land Rover Discovery guys, you probably qualify. Defenders, if you're willing to do it. If you've got a Gen 3 4Runner, come on, you can do that. FJ80s, you're in. Let's go. But bring out something old. Let's have some fun. We've got Tim and Kelsey coming in Tonto, their FJ40. Shout out Tim and Kelsey at Dirt Sunrise. We've got 3 or 4 FJ40s signed up now. We're looking for some Scouts. We're looking for some classic Broncos. Bring out the old stuff. slowbaja.com/adventures if you're interested in that.
Speeddeluxe, all one word.com.
Speeddeluxe.com, slowbaja.com/shop if you're ready to pull the trigger. And again, Adam's side is already sold out at speeddeluxe.com, but you better get on there early. Sign up for that Colorado trip or sign up for Baja next year. Oh, Baja, is Colorado already sold out?
Colorado's already sold out.
See how it works here?
So
you better get on early, get to know Adam because he's a little picky. He vets his guys closely, but get a classic bike, get onto that website, and we hope to see you in Baja next year on a motorcycle, and this year in a classic 4x4 or your 911 Safari or Sam Hurley in your E36 Safari. All right, well, Adam, thanks. It's been an awful lot of fun. I'm going to miss you tomorrow. Man, I've had 6 solid days of machaca with you every morning.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's been a great time. So I'm looking forward to getting back together in October.
I'll see you in October. All right, buddy. We did it. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Adam. Our trip's going to be something really special. So if you've got a vintage vehicle and you're thinking about jumping in, do not hesitate. Give me a call, shoot me a DM, do something, and let's talk. All right. If you like what I'm doing here, folks, you know what you need to do. The folks with the tacos jingling in their pockets, you got to drop one in the tank. You got to. You know, it takes a lot to do these things on the road, meeting people where they are, bringing in these stories, these, insightful and intimate. I hope they're insightful. I know they're intimate. But it takes a lot to do these things in person, and that's the only way I really want to do them. And so if you're enjoying it, please drop a taco in the tank. And if you don't have any tacos jingling in your pocket, I get it. Drop a 5-star review. Say something nice on Apple or Spotify. You can leave reviews at either place now, and that doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything extra to be nice, as my dear old mom used to say. And while you're over there at Slow Baja making your donation, you can always cruise on over to the Slow Baja store and pick up yourself a new hat. And we've still got some sweatshirts there. We've still got some white T-shirts, bigger sizes, black T-shirts are there. And, I appreciate you repping. I really do. I really, really, really love seeing photos that people send me to say, hey, I was at Pikes Peak. I saw a guy wearing a Slow Baja T-shirt. Oh, I was at the Baja 1000. Dude was doing an interview wearing a Slow Baja hat. I just love that. I really do. I'm trying to keep Baja slow, Poco a poco, one piece of Slow Baja merch at a time. All right, well, Mary McGee, I'm going to quote Mary McGee's pal, and we're going to get out of here. Mary McGee's pal, Steve McQueen, he's a Baja lover. He made a lot of movies, spent a lot of time racing around in the dirt when he wasn't making movies. And he said it, Baja is life. Anything that happens before or after is just waiting. I'm a minimalist when it comes to Baja travel, but the one thing I don't leave home without is a good old paper map. My favorite is the beautiful, and I mean beautiful, Baja Road and Recreation Atlas by Benchmark Maps. It's an oversized 72-page book. It's jammed with details. It brings the peninsula's rugged terrain into clear focus. Get yours at benchmarkmaps.com. In fact, get two. One for your trip planning at home and one for your Baja rig. And while you're at benchmarkmaps.com, you got to check out all their other atlases. I think they're up to 17 now, including British Columbia. They've got folding maps. They've got digital maps. They've got giant wall maps. My favorite, and I've got it up on my wall right here at Slow Baja HQ, is the 30-inch by 46-inch Baja wall map. It's so great to just look at one thing, see the entire peninsula there. I love it. Benchmarkmaps.com, Slow Baja approved. Huge news, folks. Huge news out of Ensenada this week. Cerveceria Transpeninsular has added Slow Baja to the summer tap list. I can't believe it. That's right. You can walk right in to Cerveceria Transpeninsular and order yourself a cold and frosty Slow Baja on tap. And that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'm heading to Baja this weekend to pre-run for the Slow Baja Vintage Expedition. I'm going to stop right there in Playitas de Ensenada, right next to the Hotel Corral and Marina. And I'm going to walk right in and I'm going to say, hey, bartender, I want a Slow Baja Cerveza. And he's going to pour me one. And Colin, the good-hearted owner of Cerveceria Transpeninsular, said he's going to drop a couple pesos in the tank for every cerveza he sells this summer. So you buy yourself a cold, frosty Slow Baja beer. That helps Slow Baja stay on the road, bringing you these great podcasts. It's win-win. All right, I'll see you down there. Cerveceria Transpeninsular, limited time only this summer. Get yourself a Slow Baja on tap.